Welcome to the Legacy Project podcast, where we believe that every story holds value and every voice leaves a legacy. I'm your host, Don Fessenden, here alongside our resident intern and wisdom seeker, Harper.
Hi everyone, I'm so excited for this episode, Dawn. Mentorship is one of those topics that always stirs something in me. It's so powerful and so often overlooked when people write their life stories.
Absolutely, Harper. Today's deep dive is all about writing about mentorship, how to recognize it in your own life, how to write it with heart and honesty, and how to reflect on the ripple effect mentorship creates in both directions. Whether you've been mentored, have mentored others, or both, this is an episode that will help you draw those relationships into your story with depth and meaning. You know, mentorship doesn't always come with a title. Sometimes we don't even realize we're being mentored until years later, when we look back and recognize the impact someone had on us. Maybe it was a teacher who believed in you when you didn't believe in yourself. Maybe it was a neighbor who taught you how to fix your bike, or a boss who encouraged you to go for that promotion. When you're writing your legacy, look for those invisible threads, those guiding hands and kind words that shaped your path.
That makes so much sense. I think sometimes people assume mentorship has to be formal, like an assigned role or a leadership program. But most of the mentors in my life have just shown up, by listening, offering advice, or modeling who I wanted to become.
Exactly. Mentorship is more often caught than taught, and that's what makes it so deeply human. So how do you begin writing about a mentor? Start by remembering a moment, a conversation, a challenge, a turning point, where their presence made a difference. Bring the reader into that moment. Describe where you were, how you were feeling, what you were wrestling with. Then, paint the picture of how this person showed up. What did they say or do? What didn't they say that still spoke volumes? The small gestures, the cup of coffee they brought you on a hard day, the way they offered quiet encouragement when you felt invisible, these are the moments that speak to the soul.
That reminds me of a former professor of mine. She once stayed after class with me for 2 hours just to help me sort through a personal decision I was making. It wasn't in her job description, but she just saw me. That stayed with me.
That's a great example, Harper, and it's exactly the kind of story you want to capture. Not just what happened, but what it meant to you and how it changed your direction, even subtly. Here's the great part. Mentorship is never just about the mentor and the mentee. It has a ripple effect. When you write about the lessons you learned from someone else, you preserve those lessons not just for your benefit, but for anyone who reads your story. Your children, your students, your colleagues, they inherit that wisdom. And when you become a mentor, and many of us do, often without realizing it, you continue that ripple. Writing about the people you've mentored is a powerful way to reflect on your growth and the values you've passed along.
That's so true. We don't always realize how much influence we have, especially in everyday conversations. I've had younger students say they looked up to me, and I didn't even know I was having an impact.
That's mentorship in its purest form, unintentional, yet transformative. Your legacy isn't only in what you've done, it's in who you've lifted. So as you're writing your story, ask yourself, who believed in you when it mattered most? Who gave you a push when you were stuck? Who modeled strength, grace, patience, or the kind of person you hope to become? Then ask, who have you encouraged? Who might be living differently today because of something you said or how you showed up? Writing about these moments deepens your own understanding and shows future generations how a legacy of mentorship truly unfolds. Here's something to remember. Mentorship is emotional. Don't be afraid to lean into that. Describe how it felt to be supported, to feel seen, or to face a challenge you couldn't overcome alone. But also, let's not idealize it. Sometimes mentorship is uncomfortable. Sometimes a mentor pushes you in ways you don't like at the time. Sometimes they disappoint you too. That's all part of the story. Be honest. Be nuanced. Let the relationship breathe on the page. Give your mentor their complexity, just as you would a main character in a novel.
That's powerful. I think we do people a disservice when we only tell the highlights. Real mentorship includes tough love, tension, and even conflict sometimes. But that's what makes the growth real.
Exactly. A story without struggle is a story without change, and mentorship at its core is a catalyst for change. So, if you're listening today and wondering how to include mentorship in your life story, start small. Recall one conversation, one mentor, one life lesson. Write that scene with heart, let it lead you to others. Your story is filled with people who made your journey possible, and chances are you've done the same for someone else. That ripple keeps going. If you need more support, I invite you to check out my book, The Legacy Project, a guide to sharing your story, where we go deeper into how to write relationships, values, and pivotal moments into a legacy that lives on.
And remember, even if your story feels unfinished, it is still worth telling. Sometimes the greatest gift you can give is just showing how someone helped you take the next step.
Couldn't have said it better. Thank you, Harper, and thank you to everyone listening. Keep writing, keep reflecting, and as always, keep leaving your mark.